Hello everyone and welcome back to the Inspiring Vanessa Show. I'm Inspiring Vanessa, your host, and I'm very excited to be joined by my guest for today's episode, which is my lovely friend Ryhanna.
Hi!
Thank you for being on the episode today.
Thank you for having me.
How have you been doing with lockdown recently? What have you been up to?
Not as bad as I thought I would be. TikTok has saved me a lot throughout lockdown, definitely. But now it's been easy. I'm seeing more of my friends, so...
Trying to get back to humanity as usual.
It's really weird though. It's really weird having to stay really far apart from them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So Ryhanna, can you introduce yourself to those who don't know who you are and what you do?
Okay, hi, I'm Ryhanna Parara. I'm a 15-year-old international model, presenter at Kids London Fashion Week and Nike and JD Kids Reporter.
Well, she's really very successful, as you can see. She just turned 15, so give her a little happy birthday from behind your screen. And we're just going to jump in. We're going to jump into the first question for this interview, which is, when did you begin modelling and what made you begin? What inspired you to become a model?
It was never anything that we had planned. I never really thought about it ever. Just, you know, you're 8, you don't really think about stuff like that, I guess. Well, I didn't anyway. And my parents were talking to me about it. They wanted to do it for years and years and years. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I didn't have a reason not wanting to do it. I just didn't want to do it. I think it was more that I was scared to be different than everyone else, because that's something that I feel like models go through a lot, is you're constantly treated different. And I was like, no, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it, no. And then it got to a point where I was really into Disney Channel and like Hannah Montana and stuff. My parents were like, well, you might be able to meet Miley Cyrus and Bridget Render and stuff. So I was like, yep.
Okay, that was the
sign me up.
point.
And I joined my agency over Neighbours. I've been with them ever since.
I mean, that's amazing. I think everybody, if you didn't grow up on Disney Channel, what were you doing with your childhood? But
honestly,
I think
Disney Channel and
start...
Nickelodeon, they were the
all
ones.
Those were the elite shows, but
yeah.
I think everybody who kind of grew up watching those shows wanted to be on screen, like that, maybe doing modelling or acting, whatever it was, even musical theatre, to go to that extent as well. So what is your favourite part about doing modelling?
I think it's about, like, I've learnt many skills that people learn in their adulthood. Like, having to be professional all the time, even if you're really, really sick. Like, once I remember I had my appendix out, and then a week later, when I was supposed to be in bed rest for like up to a month, a week later I was back at work. And you have to be professional, you have to always go to work, you have to always be in your A game. And also meeting new people, I love making new friends. I think that's one of the coolest things about modelling, is to meet people from all up and down the country, and it's really cool.
So one can agree that the modelling industry or any mainstream media industry is very hard to get into for various different reasons, unfortunately. So if you could change one thing about the modelling industry, what would you change and why?
I think just being more diverse in like weight and sizes and body shapes, and also skin tones, because I'm not going to mention names, but I've seen a lot of brands have like a token mixed race girl.
So, not too dark, not too light, but just right in the middle.
Like, yeah, let's go for the mixed race girl, let's not go fully black, but we'll go mixed race because that means we're diverse. Because we're having people who have a different skin tone do it. Or even searching online and you see mostly blonde haired, blue eyed, white models, and then you see the odd one who is dark skinned, and normally they're doing plus size. I don't think on any fashion like websites or e-com websites at all, I have seen more than 3 people of colour on the website. And I think also Latinas are really underrepresented in this industry. So that's something.
I definitely agree with you on that one. And although there is racism in the modelling industry, it's more colorism too.
Yeah.
Because obviously
it's definitely shades.
Decades and decades and decades, the lighter your skin is, the more presentable you would look.
That's gone back for years.
Yeah, the more they would like you to be promoting their brand, whereas they wouldn't want a dark skin person to be on the billboards.
Yeah.
For what reason?
Like, there are some companies, or even like, I will say then, Brandy Melville, one size only, giving girls a false representation of what they should look like. And Brandy Melville, all the models, again, white, blue eyes, blonde hair, skinny. They're like size 4s. And since the Black Lives Matter movement, they're like, oh, here's a mixed race person, here's a Latina person, and then they've gone straight back to what they're done for. And that's not making a change, that is supporting it because that's the trend. But it's not a trend, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Totally agree. You couldn't have said it any better than I would have. Moving on to the next question, which is you've had the opportunity to be a kid reporter for Nike and JD in France. So what was that experience like and what were you doing out there?
It was the craziest thing I think I've ever done. If you asked me 2 years ago if I would have done that, I would not believe you at all. Like, I remember my parents were talking about it in another room. I didn't really think much of it because, like, you know, in this industry you can't get your hopes up. You just have to go with it because you know that even if you get shortlisted, there's another 10 girls who look exactly like you who they're shortlisted. So you can't get your hopes up too much. And I remember I was on the way home from school one day and my dad was like, so you've got this Nike shoe. I was like, oh, okay, first of all, what? And then he's like, and you're meeting Ellen Degeneres interview. And I was like, sorry, that can't be real. And I'm sat there and obviously I'm trying to like be chill, like, yeah, got home and I was losing my mind. And then the day I met her was one of the best days of my life because I've loved her for years. And she was the most down-to-earth, lovely person I've ever met. And then we went to France, which was even more crazy because it combined football as well, which is one of the things I love the most in the world. And it was the best experience I could have asked for. The team were amazing. My co-presenter Ramel, also amazing, the most bubbly person just one of the best people I could ask to work with, especially out there. And it was crazy. I can't even put into words. It was like,
I mean, everything is just meant to be, I feel like, and because in any industry I feel like you can get a lot of setbacks, so I think this was definitely well deserved for you, and the universe, whatever you believe in, they definitely were planning for Ryhanna to be
from day one.
to be on that billboard as well. And also, she's an amazing music artist.
She is.
I mean, when I saw that photo you posted on Instagram,
oh my god,
I ran straight to my mum. I was like, look at this, look.
I was losing my mind because I couldn't tell anyone. So obviously at school, my friends were like, you normally tell us about your shoots, and you're disappearing off for a week.
And this one is extremely confidential.
Yeah, and I was like, I really want to, like, I really want to. And I posted the picture and everyone went crazy. I was like, seriously? And the fact that for me, she was one of the only mixed race people in the industry. So I saw her straight away as someone I looked up to from back in, I don't know, 2014, 2013. So I think that was one of the craziest things to actually meet her.
So apart from modelling and also reporting and presenting, you also do dancing.
Yes.
You're a dancer.
Yes,
so when did you start dancing?
I danced when I was a lot younger. I think I was about 4 or 5 I'd say, and I went up until I was about 7, 8 when I discovered football, and I was like, no, I don't want to dance anymore, I want to do football. And then I completely changed. I was very tomboy through that whole phase, and then I just started falling out of love with football, I guess you could say. Like, I love it, but the team I was at just wasn't the right place, wasn't the right time. So I stopped, and then I went to Poland for a fashion show, and they had dancers there, and I was really good friends with the dancers. Lois, you know Lois, she's been Kids Pop, and I was like, oh wait, I would love to do this, like doing fashion shows and doing modelling and also dancing. That seems really cool. So I spoke to them. I started going to the dance school they went to, and I haven't stopped ever since. I think it was about end of March last year, I'll say I started, and I've been doing like 4 or 5 classes a week since then. Because I've got a lot to catch up on. They've been doing it since I was 3. I've got a lot to catch up on.
But we can honestly see your progression as well. And what's been like your favourite dance style to perform in?
I think definitely commercial can be very sassy. You can have a lot of fun with it, and I just think it's one of my favourites definitely because I'm more personality. I think as a person, and also having the right teachers as well. So Louise and Sarah, my 2 teachers. Well, Louise runs the company, and I just think that if I wasn't having their support at the same time, I wouldn't do it as much. I wouldn't enjoy it as much. But having support systems really help you.
Definitely having those empowering people and not having something like dance mums and people screaming at you because
and they're all really nice. Everyone's really nice, and all the mums are always like, oh, I love to see you improvement, like we come and watch every week and we're all talking about it, and that's just like what you need really when you're learning something new.
A good support system is definitely going to get people far. Definitely. So the next question is actually where we met for the first time, was at Minimo's, Kids London Fashion Week. So you've actually been a presenter for Kids London Fashion Week. So what are your tips on stage fright for somebody who wants to be a presenter?
Oh my gosh. I think definitely try and do you. Like, I remember the first Minimo show was just, you know.
You were very scared that day. I do recall
that day. I was like, Vanessa, please come on stage with me. Please be with me. I don't want to be there by myself. And I think it's trying to just be you, because I'd watched so many like clips trying to prepare, but then I was like, okay, but they do this way, so maybe I need to do it this way. But I've learned that at the end of the day, when I'm more myself on stage, and you know, it's okay to make a couple jokes if you mess up, and you have to really play it off. And I think I was so scared to be like, I thought I'd be like robot everything had to be perfect, very monotone, but I learned that actually that's not very interesting for people to watch and it's not fun for you as well. So I think definitely be you and try and block everyone out. Like I act like I'm in my mirror. I do. I have to try and act like I'm in my room by myself, just talking to myself in the mirror, because that's what I do a lot. And like when you're practicing, you have to kind of make sure you look alright as you're saying stuff. So I definitely think that's one thing. You can't care about what people think. You mess up, play it off, people laugh, oh well. You know.
Oh well.
And
that's the thing about presenting as well. That's kind of like the really amazing part about it. Although it is live, and that can be like the most daunting thing to people. Like when I do live streams, for example, people are like, "How would you be able to do that? What if you slip up? What if you mess up?" Well, we are all human at the end of the day. So if you do mess up, just play it off, as you said before. Improvise, and being monotone and just being like everyone else is the least or the last thing that people want to see from a presenter.
Learn that one the hard way.
Learn that one the hard way. So try and be yourself and be authentic as well. Just let your personality shine through in whatever way you feel like doing so.
Yeah.
So moving away from modelling and presenting and all the other things that you do, we're kind of going to move towards what's relevant and what's actually going on in the world, because obviously we want people to be aware. And even though they do come onto this show, watch episodes to be inspired by individuals, we're also trying to remind them this isn't just a filter over what's happening right now. We're still trying to keep you guys educated. So you've been extremely vocal on the BLM, Black Lives Matter movement. So what are your thoughts in it, and how can we support the movement?
I think one thing people can do to support it is educate yourself. And I've had a lot of experiences. I've cut off a lot of people recently because of this. If you are not of colour, if someone says something is racist or offensive, you learn about it. You don't say, no, it's not. It's not your place to decide. And I think a lot of models, people in the industry, are very scared to talk about it because, you know, you don't want to be seen as too political because people will stop booking you. But I've got to a point where I don't want to stay quiet anymore. And if that means I stop getting work, oh well. Because at the end of the day,
it was worth it.
This is human rights that we're talking about. This isn't politics. This isn't left and right. This is human rights. So I feel like people who are being quiet, and I'm watching some of my friends just posting like nothing's wrong in the world and really showing their white privilege at the end of the day. And I feel like I don't get how people can do that. You're watching people be killed for the colour of their skin, and you're just posting your dogs and you're posting your cute little outfit of the day. I just don't understand it. And I think one of the biggest things is it's an uncomfortable conversation to have. I speak English. And I think you have to have them. Because they've been put off for so long, that's why the world is where it is today. And, you know, it's hard to sit down with your, like, white friends and say, this is upsetting me that you're saying this, or you doing this is upsetting. But these conversations have to be had, because people are going to grow up and people are going to be like Trump and not have a clue in the world about it and just say, nope, it's not true, they deserve to die, which isn't true. No one does.
Obviously. And
those conversations have to be had, whether they upset people or not, they need to be had. So,
I mean, preach. I definitely agree with you on this one. And as we were saying previously, that this isn't a trend.
No, it's not.
So for any modelling agency, any brand, they just suddenly decide to start posting coloured people, people of colour, black people, just people who aren't of Caucasian descent. They're doing that not because they're doing it from their heart. They're doing it because they're being told to do so. Because if they don't, they're going to get cancelled. Their brand is going to go bankrupt or whatever it is. Because they're going to get called out for it. And that's the first thing they do. And it shouldn't be like that. They should always have been diverse and accepting and Black Lives Matter proactive from the start of their brand and from the start before people even knew about it in the first place as well.
But that's one of the biggest things I think with the modelling industry as well. Is like, I'll go to a casting and I'm the only person of colour there. And I look around and think, yeah, I'm not going to get this job, am I? Because they're going to go for the white blonde hair girl. Or, like, if I find out another mixed race girl's been booked for a shoot, it's like, oh, great, I'm not going to get that now. Because nowhere, in any store, I cannot think of one, and I shop a lot. And in any store, any campaign, there's never more than one person of colour. Never. You have, like, 5 white girls and then 1 mixed race person. Because it's like, oh, the brand's diverse now. You know?
Or just having one person there.
It doesn't make you diverse, and you shouldn't be doing it for show.
People don't understand that diversity also means unity, which means you need just more than one. And even if they're mixed, that doesn't even represent Black Lives Matter. And even though us coming as biracial teenagers, we know that even if we're going to be put on a campaign, or like even if it was like in a short film or a movie or something, and it was meant to be for a dark-skinned person, you shouldn't take that role, or you shouldn't do that campaign, because it's meant to be for that certain aspect of people, and people need to start understanding that really rapidly. Otherwise, we're not going to get anywhere in this revolution and the situation that's going on.
And constantly asking mixed race people. So, like, if you have to pick a side, would you pick white or black? It's like, what?
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
I constantly get told this. Like, I can go on my request right now on Instagram and go through messages where it's like, you're not very black. Like, you listen to country music and you're into musical theatre. You're not very black, are you?
You're like whitewashed.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you're whitewashed. Listen to country music.
So if you speak out, or you talk too much, or you tell people no, or you say something and you seem to have an attitude, you're ghetto.
Yep.
But then if you like things that are just basic, then you're whitewashed.
Yep. There's no winning. And I feel like people don't talk enough about, I mean, obviously it's a lot harder for any person of colour, but I feel like mixed race, you're constantly in the middle, where you don't know where you stand. And I mean, I'm 15 now, but you still don't know where you stand. And you still don't know, oh, should I go hang out with the white group or the black group? Because if I go hang out with those, I'm going to be told that I'm neglecting half of myself. If I hang out with another, I'm still going to get told it. So either way, there's no winning. There is no winning. And it's the same for Latinas and Asians. Asians, they have no representation in the media. Anywhere. Most TV shows, if the person is Asian, that is their personality, is that they're Asian. They can't be Asian and have a whole different personality. Like I don't want to name shows, but in a TV show I watched recently, there's an Asian girl and she's really, really smart, and that's the only thing that Asians do in TV. It's like, but not all of them are like that.
Stereotypical, just image and persona put on television.
Exactly. Or Latinas, it's always about Latinas struggling. And no, there are also successful Latinas in the world, but you don't want to see those because that doesn't make good TV, and that's not the stereotypes. So instead, we'll do Latinas who live in, I don't know, Washington Heights, New York. And I just feel like it's so underrepresented. And I feel like this movement has sparked so much more people to come out and say, actually, I felt like I was racially treated differently in this situation and that situation. So I feel like that's what is the best part about this, is that people of all colours, not just black, are really speaking up.
I definitely agree with you. Just keep talking about it. Racism isn't only just white people against black people, it's also against even black people against Asians, even black people against Latinas, white people against Latinas, white people against Asians. It's all, well, not all about race, but if we think about it, it does come to race most of the time. Because if something didn't happen, then if they were white, so they had a privilege in any kind of way, that situation would never have occurred in this world. So that is all the questions I have for Ryhanna today. Thank you for sharing your journey with us and also your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement. We could have been talking about this for a whole episode, a whole hour, even longer than that. But where can we find you on social media to hear more about what you're doing and what's going to be coming up in the future? Okay, my Instagram is Ryhanna Parara 05. I'm going to spell it out because it is very confusing. My parents just picked a really weird spell for my name. So it's RYHANNA and then Parara PARA. Wow, so catchy. 05. My TikTok is Ryhanna Parara. My YouTube is also Ryhanna Parara, I believe. And that's all I have. That's all we have, but it's gonna keep us busy, and also tuning into what you're gonna be posting too. And also you've been talking a lot about not even just Black Lives Matter, but also lots of like humanitarian crises that are happening in the world as well that the media isn't talking about. And just talking about celebrities and blah blah blah, but we've already heard about them. We should hear about people who are actually dying in this world. But head over to Ryhanna's Instagram, look on her stories, because she's posting a lot about everything, to be honest, as well. So thank you all so much for watching today's episode. If you haven't left a review, then leave a review down below and we'll be sharing those on my Instagram story. Also, if you haven't watched the previous episodes, go and check those out, and stay tuned for future episodes coming out with more incredible individuals. We'll speak to you all soon. Bye everyone! Bye!